and I'm going to be a horrible human being, and nothing's going to stop
Let's
me.
go to the suicide woods. Remember Fat Joe?
No, I have no idea what we're talking about.
Ludacris?
The Rockaway?
Ludacris, but he's been consistent.
Fast and Furious?
Yeah, I know Fast and Furious, like the movie or the...
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Ludacris was in like the first one
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
that's
second
right.
one,
Yep,
I think.
yep, yep.
And then I think those are
He
really
was
the only ones I saw.
he was like in pretty much all of them except for maybe one of them. They
I
brought
don't
him
know.
back a few times.
I don't know who Fat Joe is. I'm sorry.
Well,
that's-
I guess there's your homework.
Fair enough. Well,
Let's go home and study what Fat Joe
I'm going to
is.
Google Fat Joe. I'm sure that search result will be perfectly fine.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Hello. It's not good morning. It's morning for us. It's not morning.
Definitely.
Not necessarily morning for you. We're here live. We're not here live.
We out here. We out here, boys.
Wow.
We're getting the thing.
Try
Do
that
it-
again.
Do it live pre-recorded.
Those are those neural pathways that are like cooked, like maxed out. Like that's it. That roll-in's never gonna end.
Well, yeah. Well, hold on. So a little bit of backstory going on. Benjamin and I,
Back it
we were the hosts of a morning show for 157 episodes over a span of exactly 7 months of 2 hours of programming a day.
Was it 2 hours?
Wasn't it?
2.5? 6.
Well, our
6
first like
I don't know.
40 episodes or something were 3 hours,
Yep.
and then it came down to 2.
Yep.
And I mean that's a lot. So that neural pathway of like good morning,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and we're live.
Yeah, it's just engraved.
I mean, talking about it, just like throwing it right up at the morning. Like once you take a live element to a talk program or really anything, it brings you to just this whole other space, head level. Like you can't get that back. Like we have this safety net in the back of our brains. I mean, not that we ever do or ever throw anything out, but like you have post.
Yeah.
If you didn't like the show that you just did, you can throw it out. But if you're live,
Yeah, you gotta.
you had
That's it.
an unknown amount of people who just heard all of that.
Yeah.
You can't get that back.
Yeah. So you definitely got to be more on your toes.
It's not. I don't think that it's on your toes. It's you have to have content. It's just something has to be happening. It's not. It doesn't matter if it's music. It doesn't matter if it's you talking. It doesn't matter if it's like having a conversation or reading anything or whatever. There has to be a content stream for 2 hours
Yep.
every day.
I mean, and
Like-
it really helps. Yet again, we talked about keeping it real and everything from the very get go of the inception of this program. I mean, we're just getting right into the bread and butter, I guess. Now, talking about keeping it real, that's really where. I mean, we felt like we were real from the beginning, but I mean, when you do 157 episodes of you live every single day, how much can you really hide from the general public? Like,
Yeah.
how can you not be like? You can only be fake for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's there. Like Tyler said, there's a safety net with pre-recorded stuff. I think you also get stuck in this idea that you want to take away a lot more than you should in pre-recorded stuff, or you don't take away enough. But live is a special type of experience, and hopefully we get to try that out with this community of individuals too. But it's a different thing.
And people love live. It's on the rise too, as we can see with Twitch programming and everything else going. Just a lot more live streaming. It seems to be something that people are enjoying because of that raw, authentic side to it. That there is no post edit.
Well, think about just like MTV culture. When we came up right at the line of MTV. Like I remember MTV having music videos and just being music for a long, I mean, for a good portion of my life, and then all of a sudden there was just a switch, and it was like, no, we need reality TV shows, and now everything on TV is a quote unquote reality TV show, and we watch these things as kids who've been raised on. It's like, this is scripted, this is fake, this is trash, and they're trying to feed it to us like it's reality. No, I need something real and raw because I've been fed such artificial garbage for so long.
Yeah. I mean, that's the power of the internet. it's been so like that's definitely a blessing of it, is the fact that we can go beyond just like program TV, and still get the entertainment, and now we have so much choice. There's so many options out there of what you want to listen to. So that's definitely a plus to having the like YouTube, and speaking of YouTube is what we're going to be talking about today. But yeah, having YouTube and all these other programs. I say YouTube because that's the biggest platform.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially for video streaming. Where else are you going to go other than like Vimeo?
Yeah, we were having this conversation yesterday, and before we move on to that concept, I think that the reason why this has changed, I think everybody's loved live content forever. It's just the infrastructure was only available to big corporations.
Yeah.
Like, to do something live took a lot of effort, back in the day.
Yeah.
Right, it was almost unattainable.
Yeah,
And
so
it was monopolized. As we're gonna use this term a lot as like old media.
Yeah, like we're talking about like the CNNs and the Fox Newses and like your news networks, like your multi-billion-dollar corporations. They pumped money into live platforms so that they could report the news on site. Now everybody with a cell phone can do a live video.
Or
Yeah.
even think about just before like news networks or even cable TV. It's like you had 4 or 5 channels and everything was pretty much live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, technology has definitely evolved how we get anything and how we do stuff. Like you said, like 10 years ago, live streaming, not as easy as it is today. Now, today, you can live stream you getting pulled over by a cop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that simple. It's kind of mind-blowing how quick you're able to do things now and at ease, because it doesn't cost you anything to go live either. You know what I mean? That doesn't cost anybody to go live. You don't have to pay for that. When 10 years ago, you had to pay millions and millions of dollars and pay millions of dollars just for people to be there to be able to run that kind of program. That's
He had to use $100,000 cameras, multiple $100,000 cameras. It's the entry level has gone down so much, and that's like a blessing and a curse, because that means that there's a lot more content that can be consumed, but that also means that the quality of content is going to go down because anybody can produce anything.
Well, and really that's the beauty. But you can see that traditional media is it's on a downfall. Nobody watches TV anymore. Now it's all streaming platforms. It's whatever you want at your fingertips. News networks, they're tanking because nobody watches traditional news, because you can get your news from anywhere, and you can try to stay like, I don't want to say cater to your biases, but you can really find any seat for the shape of your butt.
yeah.
For a lack of a better term.
Well, that was good.
I mean, I was trying to be as creative as possible, but it's like, if you really wanted to, you can fall down any echo chamber that you want.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, okay, well, instead of having the 3 major or 4 major news networks, and I have to trust that because that's the only news that's there. Now I can go and I can find anybody that I trust.
I think the dangerous part in that is that back in the day when we used to watch news on TV, we knew the bias of the channel, because every news channel is biased, but at least you knew that walking in. Now it's very dangerous where it's like these independent people who are reporting the news, quote unquote, reporting the news or reporting whatever. We don't know their bias. So, like, that's the complicated part, where it's like, okay, if I watch CNN and I watch Fox, I know which way one leans and which way the other leans. So it's like, if I'm going in and I know that they're going to push one way or the other, so I have to take that with a grain of salt. If I watch this random guy on YouTube who I've never seen before report a story, I don't know where the bias is. So I don't know how much of that is genuine information, how much of it is interpretation. That's the difficulty with all of these things.
Well, and that's a big piece just in information in general. We were talking in a prior episode, and we was talking about like there was this level of professionalism when it came to journalism, or being unobjective and reporting just the straight news of what happened, and this is the truth, because that was really how everybody got their information. We were talking about back in the Civil War times. That's how information spread through the entire nation, was printed press. The English style printed press everywhere. And if you got it wrong, or you printed something that wasn't factual, you were held to this standard to the point where they would go to your house and they would practically want to lynch you, or they would burn down the entire the entire place.
I can't imagine that kind of accountability for my words.
Right, but it's accountability because everybody held it to such a high level because it's like we just want to hear exactly what happened. I don't want to hear something that was made up, and I don't want to hear something that's your opinion. I want exactly what happened in the most unbiased way. And it's unfortunate because as humans, we can try to be as unbiased as possible, but we have our own biases.
I also think that that's not necessarily true with the population as a whole. Not the bias thing. I think everybody has a bias. But I think that a lot of people like the character more than they like the content. Where it's like everybody has this favorite YouTuber and everybody has this personality that they follow. You listening to this podcast, you listen mostly because of the conversations and the people who are here, not necessarily the content of the show, because you can't expect what the show is going to be about beforehand. So it's like, I think that a lot of people have that too, where it's like we have this figure, like we use Casey Neistat as an example a lot. Like it's like if I really like Casey Neistat as an individual, and Casey he's like fallen out of YouTube fame, but nonetheless, if I look to this person as a person who I like, and they have if they tell a story about an opinion and they tell it with their opinion on it, their biases on it, I am more inclined to accept their full belief rather than nitpick and take the parts that I like. And I think that when we moved from the faceless organization to the individual person, that shifted, where it's all like, okay, this faceless organization has this opinion. I don't necessarily agree with the opinion of the faceless organization, but I'm going to take it at face value. Yeah. And I'm going to go and I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. But it's like we as humans are more apt to trust somebody and agree with their whole statement if we like them as a person.
It's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Think about like a video game and like charisma points. It's like you could be lying out your teeth right now, but because you have charisma, like I'll gobble that crap up for for what it is.
Oh man, that just took me back. But
you're going back to Fallout.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking was Fallout.
I was going to say Elder Scrolls.
That too. But yeah, it's a crazy shift from, you go from the media outlet where all you were looking at was like a logo, and then you went there specifically just to get the facts. That is all you would go there for. Now this shift to YouTube and other platforms that allow you to develop your character, people really fall in love with the person behind the camera. And sometimes it's just their efforts. Other times there's their personality, their sense of humor, whatever it is. You keep coming back to them for that. You know what I mean? And then in the process, you're getting information. And it might not always necessarily be facts, or whatever. Sometimes you're not even going to them for facts. Like you're just going to them for entertainment. And that's the difference. Is like I feel like there's been a blurred line between entertainment and news. And people are trying to mix the two. So now you have, a lot of things going around ratings and all this other stuff, which, I mean, news ratings has always been an important thing. But you start blurring, like, things of entertainment life into what the facts are, and it's kind of hard to discern which one's which sometimes.
And well, we can really see that too as a trend. Even though facts stay on both sides, you can say like feelings and facts and how they end up blending together. Like, oh, this feels like it's wrong, so it must be wrong, even though it's a hard factual truth backed up by substantial evidence. Be like, well, I don't like the way that makes me feel, then I'm gonna leave that alone.
I think that it's tough. It's a tough situation because it's like we develop this relationship with people online, even if we don't know them. I call it the waitress effect. Whenever I explain this to my parents, we've had this conversation multiple times where it's like the waitress. There is only one waitress to you, but there are thousands of customers to the waitress. And it's the concept of like, I only know Casey Neistat. Like Casey, this YouTuber. I only know this YouTuber because I have 50 YouTubers that I watch max. So to me, I have 50 online friends. But to each one of these individuals, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of individuals who watch them. So you are non-existent to the person, but the person is existent to you. And that's a very weird relationship to have in like we don't have that usually in like the real world. We only have it online where it's all like you could be so like you don't know, each individual person doesn't know a million people, but a million people can know one person. which
Yeah.
is a weird situation to be in. And I think that we develop a relationship with these people online that we don't know. They're just this random person on the internet, but we feel like we're a part of their lives because we watch them 3 times a week or like 2 times a week or whatever. But they don't. Their opinions are brought onto us without our opinions being brought onto them. Like it's not a two-way conversation where
Yeah.
we're listening to them talk.
Yeah.
You know.
That's, I never really put the two together. I really like that waitress effect. I've never heard of that before, so that's pretty good. Now that we have less than a minute, do you want to run that intro?
Oh yeah, hello everyone. My name is Benjamin. We're here with Eric,
Yep.
Tyler.
Yo.
There you go. So if you don't know who we are, that first segment might have been a bit weird of a jump in point. But thanks for
I thought it
listening.
was good.
Thanks for listening to the Life Podcast. We're gonna be back after our break. Make sure to rate and rate the podcast. It makes us go up in the algorithm on Apple. So thank you very much.
You can't get trunked.
Trunked. I've never heard that term used in that way.
Anyways, as we're getting back into this is a great in the wake of the new YouTube adpocalypse. We're talking a lot about social media and really just throwing everything up in the air and seeing what sticks. So thank you so much for being part of this conversation. Rate, share, and if you'd like to comment and give your 2 cents in. I mean, we'd love to see outside perspectives. Obviously, if you disagree with us, that's fine. If you agree with us, let us know. And
Yeah, we'd love to hear the
we're just seeing where it goes.
Absolutely. And you could also email us at THELifePodcast show at gmail.com if you have any specifics. Or if you want to sponsor this any of these episodes, you can reach us on there too.
Yeah, absolutely. If you like what we do, if you want to buy us a cup of coffee, as they say, that's also an
That's
option.
it. Invite us to a wedding.
Yes,
That would-
that's
that
a
would be
throwback.
great.
So we were talking about the concept of producing content and how that goes. Tyler, the three of us were having a conversation. We were talking about like the sizes of stuff and how that mentally affects you. Where it's like if you have 5 million subscribers, 10 million subscribers on YouTube, and you have, or even smaller numbers than that, like even small,
I was starting to lose it at about 500,000.
yeah.
At about half a mil.
If you interact with 500,000 people, like let's say you get 500,000 to 650,000 views an episode, and you produce 3 episodes a week, like that's a lot of minutes of people's lives that you're interacting with.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And just being able to manage it. Say you were just a solo YouTuber. You didn't have a crew. Like, I mean, if we spread the responsibility out between the 3 of us, say, and we had even 1 million followers, like it would be a little bit easier because many hands make the load light, or
Yeah.
however that goes.
We have the advantage of being able to talk to each other too and be able to have like real life back and forth social interaction. But like you think about a solo YouTuber who has like a one person that's just them, and they never really, they don't have anybody to talk to about what's it like to be a YouTuber. They don't have that advantage of, even unless they're doing live streams every now and then, but they don't really, other than answering comments, really get that feedback conversation. So you're producing content at a high rate, reaching a exuberant amount of people, and you don't even get to hear them talk to you back. And I don't know, I think that like at first that's no big deal, but after doing that for about a year, I'd kind of go crazy.
Well, think about it now. You're producing content. You spend, say, an hour a day plus between editing and putting out whatever video you put out, and then on the other side you have merchandise. You're taking care of merchandise. You are HR. You are taking care of customer relationships. You are everything of a company. That's the reason why a company has employees. Like, imagine you being the entire company the entire time, and then you still have to produce consistent creative content on a almost daily basis. Like, how do you function for that long?
I mean, I think that, and when I say this, I don't want anyone to think like Benji has no idea what he's talking about.
Triggered.
Benji
Yeah.
has no idea what he's saying.
Exactly. Like, it's like, I don't think it's that complicated. It's like you have a formula, you have a system, you make the video, you have an editing style, you get a groove. Editing is what takes the longest time. Editing is what takes the longest time in general.
Yeah.
The merch stuff gets outsourced to a third-party corporation. You give them a drawing, and they take the rest of it. That's what it is. Nobody's printing their own T-shirts anymore at a one-person organization. It's
Or
like
anywhere.
yeah, fair enough.
If you are, God bless you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're doing that, then
If
I
you
think
are
there's
doing
easier
it,
ways to do it. But but
Just
nonetheless.
look into drop shipping and you'll be
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Because there are corporations that will take care of all of it and give you a
Yeah.
check, and that's it. But nonetheless, the idea of producing that much content that regularly for that many people, that affects you mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Because you become, if you want to or not, you become this concept of like, I have an opinion on something. I'm going to tell my people and say what they say. And then it becomes like the people who follow you are obviously mostly going to agree with you.
Yeah.
So as long as you don't say something super outlandish, if you say something quote unquote in character,
Yeah.
like it's like they're going to agree with you. So now you have a person who is essentially giving an opinion to 500, 600,000 people who are all singing your praises.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a healthy psychological thing.
No, it's always important to be able to have a balanced opinion and to be able to have others to bounce your opinion off of. There's a proverb that says basically like the first person to be able to tell their story is right in the hearer's ears until the other person from the other side comes and tells their side of the story, and so like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's so true, and sometimes like we can see this in the internet now. There's so many echo chambers of like, okay, this I'm into this ideology, and I only want to hear people who agree with me or agree with those ideologies, and I don't want to hear anything else. And if you say something that I disagree with, that's it. I want to mass flag all of your videos and get you banned as fast as possible because I can't stand your opinion, whether it's offensive. If it's offensive to me, whether it's actually like morally offensive or not, I don't want to hear it. I don't care.
Yeah. It's important to remember that. I mean, you say that you get banned and stuff. It's important to remember that when you're putting content up on anybody else's website, you are giving them the right to to in a sense control it.
Well, we're in. Let's remove like just this one platform thing because your brain's already thinking like, okay, like posting on YouTube, but there are people.
I'm thinking Facebook. I'm thinking
Facebook,
anything.
As
Yeah.
long as you don't own the platform, which most people don't.
Yeah, you just
Okay,
don't.
so backing up from these modern platforms, even that's still a trend of like, okay, say you have your own website, I have my own website. They're both governed by us and ourselves. There's no other third party organization or any kind of community guidelines or rules. The first thing is like, regardless if my opinion is harmless or not, and your opinion's harmless or not, we're walking into this time where everybody is so offended, and if your opinion just doesn't agree with mine, I can't tolerate it. So I need to be able to find a way to silence your opinion.
Well, yes, I agree with you. I'd like to preface this by saying I agree with you. I think that the issue isn't the offense, it's that we have an issue with the concept of you don't agree with me, so that means that you don't like me.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody has to like me because I'm an amazing human and individual. And it's like that's what happens where it's all like, if you don't like me, you're obviously the one who's wrong. So go away. And it's like, no, I disagreed with you. It's not that I don't like you. It's that I don't agree with your opinion. And it's like
that's huge, and I love that you just brought that to the forefront because that's really what it's turning into.
It's because everybody has to love me. Because again, we go all the way back to what we said in the one at the beginning of the show, which is this Instagram culture where everything has to be perfect.
Yeah.
And if I'm perfect, why don't you love me?
Yeah.
Love me with all my flaws.
Exactly. It's like let's take a second to really dissect this. Where it's like, if we're producing content that somebody doesn't agree with, that doesn't mean that the person doesn't like us. There is obviously going to be people who don't like us and don't like our content. There's going to be people who love us and love our content. And there's going to be a mixture of those in between.
Yeah.
Where it's like people love us, but they don't like the content, or people don't like us, but they love the content.
Yeah.
It's like those are the four options.
Yeah.
It's like most of those people are going to still listen. But you cannot live your life based off of the people who don't want to interact with you.
Right. And it doesn't matter who you are or how perfect you are or how blameless you actually are. I mean, you could be Jesus Christ for all for all representation. You could be a perfect human being, a spotless human being.
Yeah.
And people will still hate you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's a part of the formula. Like it's just the part of life. You know, when you walk through life, not everyone's always going to like you, and the same thing translates to online. Except it gets amplified in a lot of ways because it's so easy for them to voice their opinion, and so easy for them to hit the dislike button, and so easy for them to show you that they don't like you, or they just don't like that content, and you can never discern between the two because it's just a dislike button. So yeah, that could really go to your head in a negative way.
Absolutely, and it's also like. Like bad news, bad publicity is still publicity.
Oh, absolutely.
Like YouTube is based off of this concept where it's like all of the drama, like the drama with James Charles and that other chick, like whatever the story behind that was like no matter and this is every YouTube drama. It's like if somebody gets into drama, they lose a massive amount of subscribers, but then they gain another massive amount because it's like people take a side, and then people who wouldn't have subscribed to you say no. What you did isn't wrong. Stick it to the man or whatever other side is. And it's like, I'm going to subscribe to you now.
Absolutely. It's an exchange.
Yeah. It's like you're just exchanging people in and out. And it's like, that's a horrible psychological thing because like if you're in that position where you just saw your subscriber number tank 3 million people and then it goes up another 2 million, you're like, see, the people really do love me. And that just enhances bad behavior because that just says like, you turn into this like I can do whatever I want because the people love me and I don't care what YouTube says and I don't care what these other people say and I'm going to be a horrible human being and nothing's going to stop
Let's
me.
go to the suicide woods.
Yeah. That was a bad idea. So for anybody who doesn't know, that was Jake Paul, right? Or was it Logan Paul?
I don't know.
It was one of the Paul brothers.
That's like your
My
generation.
people? No, thank you.
Paul. I think it was Logan Paul.
It's one of the Paul brothers. One of the Paul brothers. They went. Then that was a bad situation. But like that is a YouTube drama. That's YouTube drama.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where it's all like people were like, "Hey, dude, that was probably the worst possible decision you could have made," and then other people were like, "He should be able to film wherever he wants to film," and it's like, like what do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like a huge trade-off, and that's definitely like. That could really mess with your head, considering like, oh, you have this subscriber base, right? You have in your friend like, oh, all these people like me. Mm-hmm. You do one mistake, like you tied your left shoe before your right shoe, and everyone ties their right shoe before their left shoe, and then all of a sudden, like you lose half of your subscribers, but everyone else kind of comes in. It's just like this revolving door of people that you never really know who they are, but they keep on like coming in and out of your life because essentially they're a part of it if they're paying your bills.
Absolutely, it's what Tyler said. It's an echo chamber because it's like not, and you're only enforcing it by doing things that are more and more extreme because it's like all of the people who disagree with you get taken out and all of the people who agree with you get put in. Mm-hmm. So now you're building a subscriber base which is more and more based off of you as a character playing this character on screen rather than your concept as an individual. So the more extreme you get, the more extreme your user base becomes. And it's like that's an echo chamber in itself. And YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all these platforms are encouraging this user base system because it's like if your trends, just based off of the YouTube algorithm, let's talk about YouTube as a platform. Based off of the YouTube algorithms, which for all of you who aren't versed in this concept is the system that shows you videos. That's what the algorithm is. It's like tailors the videos that it shows you to your personality. So it's going to show you people who you're more likely to agree with. Mm-hmm. It's like all of these people who subscribe to, let's say, Jake Paul or Logan Paul or Casey Neistat, they do all of these things. They fit the same characteristics that you fit. Mm-hmm. So we're going to show you Casey Neistat's videos and you like them. But you're already predisposed to agree with him more than other people. And it like creates this divide in these little subsections of YouTube where it's all like, you fit into this bucket, so we're going to show you these YouTubers. You fit into this bucket, so we're going to show you these YouTubers. And I don't think that's a healthy ecosystem to be building.
No, absolutely. It makes me reminiscent and kind of wish the days when trending was trending, when it was actually trending because just a ton of people were watching it.
Yeah.
Rather than like, oh, this is catered to your taste or this is catered to you.
Yeah,
and we've become this consumer culture where you can see this with Jack Dorsey and Twitter, where he literally came out and said, he says, I want to be able to create these echo chambers within Twitter so that nobody has to hear an offensive opinion. That's outrageous.
Mm-hmm. It's tough because it's like you're making a smaller social network inside of a social network, multiple small social networks inside of a social network.
Yep.
Because to play devil's advocate, the companies want nothing more than to gain users and to keep users engaged.
That's it.
And if the best way to do that is to limit the content that makes them want to leave the platform and to bucket everybody into little groups, then that's what they're going to do.
Right. The thing with video versus like, Twitter, with video, they're pretty much just showing you things like, it'll be like, oh, you watch this content creator, whoever this person is. A lot of other people that watch the same content creator also watch this. So you'll see like going through YouTube a lot, like, oh, people who watch this also watch this, and now it's recommended for you. And that's kind of like, so it can like kind of, they want you in more of a like a wormhole where you keep going to the next video, and the more time you spend on their platform, it's like anything else. Like the more time you spend there, the more money they make. So they want like as many users as possible, but they also want them to stay there for as long as possible. And having YouTube as a video platform, they have the best chance of this, because like, I mean, I don't know about the reason why I got off of Facebook is because of that wormhole timeline video thing that I used to get sucked into, because I kept just going to the next video, next video, and it gets really bad. So I had to like, put that down. But with YouTube, they're able to really understand what the next video I might like is. And most of the time, they're accurate.
Yeah.
You watch this video from Cut Things Open guy? Here's hydraulic press this destroyer, man. Like,
It's true. It's like so much money and so much effort's been going into this, and we'll talk about that because the Ducks are here. It's like they can't be wrong. It's too much money. Like they're gonna know what's going on in your head.
Yeah, the amount of money that's been thrown into the marketing side of it is unbelievable, and it works. So
shout out YouTube, NSA Brian.
Yeah,
we'll be right back.
Yeah,
stay tuned.
I thought we were already running. You gotta get.
Well, you broke the zip tie. So
that audio clip. so yeah, Toys R Us I think is trying to reopen, or they're gonna try to reopen.
Yeah, they're still open, I think, in Canada.
And how many times are we gonna have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Yeah, exactly. Amazon's gonna wreck them again. It's I don't see that. Like, look, it cannot be economical to have a warehouse full of toys and try to sell them one by one. Like today,
I think them disappearing, it created a demand
for toys.
For that environment of being like for children to go, because I can't think of any other place a child can go to actually pick out their toys, and hold it in their hands. And so eliminating them, I think it was honestly more for the parents than anything else, because especially for uncles and stuff like that, like I go to the toy store, I pick up a toy. I don't go on Amazon and find one online. I go to this and I'll find something and I'll buy it. So I think it's more for the older people who are like, oh man, what am I to do for every Christmas and birthday that I have coming up? And so it kind of created this need. I don't think they'll have as many stores open anymore, because it's just not going to work. But
I think I don't know what Tyler's on about over there.
You can't see that.
Oh,
so I leaned over to my microphone, and the pop filter on it. What do you call this phone thing?
A windscreen.
There you go. Your windscreen. Like it stole one of my beard hairs.
Okay.
There we go.
So it has an antenna.
Fair enough. Okay. I don't know. I think I've been to Toys R Us like twice or 3 times in my life.
Yeah.
So I don't see the whole like big deal with it, but I mean, I just don't think that at the price point they were already expensive.
Yeah, they were outrageous even as kids.
Yeah, I think that they have to be high above market value for it even to be feasible.
Yeah. And they didn't change with times either. There's a lot of things they could have done in the stores just to make the experience better. They still have the same formula that they've been running since 1999, and that'll never work. When you don't adapt with the times, you don't adapt with technology. There's so many things they could have incorporated into the store to make it much more enhanced, like just experience enhancing. Coming in and just having the place clean would be one.
They haven't cleaned since 1999.
Yeah, and stuff like that. They could have done a lot of stuff to really make it more enjoyable. Especially now with like virtual reality becoming a thing. Like there's so many things you could do inside a toy store to make that cool.
Yeah.
And it's just like a lot of missed opportunities.
Have a ball pit like McDonald's,
because you can
see
do
how
stuff.
well those worked.
Yeah, right. But
I think there was a lot of liability too. I think like
with the ball pit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
you got a bunch of children that never knew each other before are now in the pit.
Yeah, it's I can't believe that would be like. Well, that's a product of time, I guess.
And
Yeah.
like I remember
Yeah.
being a kid, like the big thing was going to McDonald's for like your birthday, especially if like growing up, like my family didn't have a lot of money starting like a business from scratch from the very get go. So it's like, oh, you want to have your birthday at McDonald's? Yeah, I want to go to McDonald's because you go to a play place, you can get some Happy Meal toys. It was a cheap way out for kids to have fun. And then it's like, oh yeah, I found a rotten cheeseburger, a dirty diaper, and a hypodermic needle in the ball pit the other day. Like I guess we're never going to McDonald's again.
Really dodged the bullet there.
You find one needle and everybody says they're out.
And everybody's up in arms.
Yeah, it's like,
Talking about just like kids that like bring it, like you being an uncle and everything, and having to go to Toys R Us, I was thinking to myself, like, man, I would be like a terrible uncle or something, because I would be like, hey kid, you know what, I'm just gonna ship you outside, here's a stick, shut up and have fun for a little while. Like, I mean, that's
friends.
I guess that's how I was raised, and that was one of my favorite things. Like when I would go to be with my dad, but sometimes we'd go and visit my grandfather. They lived right next to like woods, and it was like a bunch of acres of undeveloped woods. He was like, hey, this is what I did when I was a kid. Go out there and just
back in my day.
yeah, right. Like don't get lost.
Yeah.
Don't get hurt, because I got no scheduled trips to the emergency room today. So if you get hurt, you're dealing with it. And have fun. Come back in a little while. It's like, all right.
Fair enough. I also think that this is an issue with technology as well, where it's all like, it's like if I can spend $300 on an iPad and never have to buy another toy until this gets destroyed.
Yeah.
I think that is the more logical situation.
Right. So instead of Toys R Us, it's the Apple Store.
Apple.com.
Yeah.
Apple.com.
And that's a huge thing too, because when you're, especially today and age, is that how you say it? Today and age.
Today.
Just
Or
today.
this day and age.
This day and age, that's what I was looking for. For this day and age, as a parent, and you have like, you have work, and you have like some people are trying to start a business and have all these things in line that they want to accomplish, and having just a screen in front of their child will distract them. Like it's that equivalent of sending them outside, and they'll be outside for the next 4-6 hours. Now I can clean the whole house while they're gone. It's the same idea, except now it's like they're going to be on the screen for the next 4, 5, 6 hours, and I can do whatever it is I needed to do. So it buys the parent that time.
Well, think about it. Being a kid growing up, like I think we kind of talked about this. Like I was babysat by screens a lot. Like that was the thing. You go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, you rent a video game or something,
Man,
and
we just brought a dinosaur into
Rip
this.
Blockbuster. Hindsight's 2020. Should have bought Netflix for like $2 million or whatever it was.
Yeah, they blew
bad
it.
business practices.
Yeah, but nonetheless.
Anyways, be kind. Rewind.
Yeah.
Yes, but really, that's what it was too. I mean, think about it. You slap a video game controller in a kid's hand. I mean, I would binge Sega for hours and hours, and nobody would blink an eye.
Yeah.
It's like, the kid's quiet. Like I can do whatever I want.
Exactly. He's
I don't
quiet.
I don't blame parents nowadays for giving a kid an iPad and letting them get into whatever world of trouble. And I mean that comes down to I guess a tough parenting skill. And I'm not trying to judge any parents or anything.
I am.
Oh,
Well, there we go.
Go ahead. I mean, we can't lie about biases or anything. But
Now,
what was that stupid Momo thing? I know we're completely off topic of
I
YouTube
have
right
no
now.
idea what you're talking
Well, what what is Momo?
The Momo thing?
Yeah, there was like that I think it was a hoax, or if it was real, it was basically like this like crazy, like almost like the Ring type girl that would show up during like would subliminally show up, or not subliminally, but it would like show up during like kids things on like kids apps.
Oh yeah, that was a
yeah.
big thing on
Yeah.
YouTube. Yeah, that
And
was a
like
big-
it would make them like inflict self-harm or
Yeah, yeah, no, I know
whatever
what
it
you're
was.
talking
It
about,
was
Yeah.
it was what it was, but it's like, okay, well, I my kid's locked in this kids only section. I mean, I think about AOL. I mean, like dial up AOL, and it was like, oh, when you create a screen name, it's like, oh, this kid has to go on kids only, and you could only go to certain types of websites, and you could only do certain types of things.
Yeah. And you have to have parental control.
so
But
broken.
it's such a broken system. But you put your kid in front of those screens. Now they have access to a full YouTube arsenal of videos, and you hope that they don't find something. You hope that they stay on like little Baby Shark show. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Have you ever heard the
so
metal
upset.
remix?
No.
It's amazing.
There's so many remixes of that song.
But anyways, so you hope your kid stays on there. But before you know it, like they can go traveling through dark YouTube pages. So I mean, for that aspect, you do need some sort of control.
Stick to Baby Shark. That's like cocaine for kids.
It's it's tough. Like Tyler and I were talking yesterday about the concept.
Yeah,
of,
let's
like,
let's get to the meat. We got 7
the
minutes.
wild. There's nobody's paying for the show yet, so we can talk about whatever we want. No, it's like the concept of like the Wild West of YouTube. Like back in like 2008, I remember back in my day. Yeah, exactly. I remember when the YouTube app still had a television on it.
I remember we were talking. Like I remember when I could still watch beheadings on YouTube.
Yes, the good old days.
Listen, yeah, the good old days. Being in 7th grade, watching people get their heads cut off. Like you're never the same after you watch that.
Back in the day, YouTube didn't have a. So for everybody who's like ready to turn off the podcast, YouTube didn't have a content awareness platform. The algorithms weren't there were no algorithms. YouTube was a site where people hosted their content. I remember back when YouTube didn't have subscribers.
No,
like.
And trending was trending. It was like because this is the most discussed, or like people are commenting a lot on this video, that's what's going to appear the most, or people are going to actually see what's really trending versus like videos suggested based on what you just watched.
It was the dumbest stuff too. The YouTube trending page like back in 2008 was the dumbest thing.
Oh, awful. You remember the Maya Higo guy, the guy with the glasses, the blue shirt on, and Maya. No, you don't remember that?
Yeah.
I'm glad you do.
They call him Numa guy.
Numa guy. There it is.
Oh yeah,
reminiscing about the days of YouTube, but like
it
it was
was
so
bad
hilarious.
Did you guys? You ever see? I mean, obviously you have. There was an episode of South Park that South Park basically took all the early YouTube celebrities and parodized and like made fun of all that, and it was really Yeah, it's definitely something to watch.
They were all waiting in like this imaginary line, waiting to get paid in YouTube money.
Yeah,
and just like they were just infinitely waiting in line.
I remember when
that was prophecy up until the apocalypse.
yeah,
Apocalypse 2.
even like TV networks tried to get on board with like the YouTube trend because nobody really understood The YouTube,
the
like
Tosh.0.
with like Fred.
Stop.
You remember Fred and all those guys?
Oh
yeah,
it's like that. Like
you're showing your age, Benjamin.
content. Yeah, fair enough. Like even like Nickelodeon and all those websites. TV shows. They were like they were trying to understand what this new platform was.
iCarly, bro.
iCarly, yeah.
Like, why would you name it? You really tried to capitalize on the internet and like the iMac.
It's hilarious that these corporations were trying to feel it out, and even today, they're still trying to feel it out.
This oh man, I can't say the name of the show because I honestly don't remember. But there was oh man, I can't remember it. But anyways, my niece watches it, and she loves the show. And apparently, it originated off of YouTube. It was just this kid, and he just plays with toys.
Oh yes, he got a TV
so Nickelodeon sponsored him and gave him his own TV show on regular TV, and she watches it all the time. And I'm watching it like it's stupid, but like kids are they're eating at this. They love it.
Well, so the reason why he probably is on TV now is because he was the highest generating YouTube like because you make family friendly content like that's like. That's an advertiser's dream. Yeah. Is some random kid opening toys?
Wink, wink, wink.
It's all like so he was one of the highest revenue generating YouTube pages in the world, and then YouTube was like, we're gonna add a community guideline that says you can't profit off of children because that's a bit creepy. Because people were starting to make a lot of money off of children and like things like that, where it's like they're opening toys or they're reacting to stuff, and it was like, okay, now you can't make money with children. Because on TV, if you shoot with, I don't know if anybody knows this, but if you shoot with a child on a TV show, you have to have a teacher on set. You have to, there's a certain number of hours that you can shoot for max. Like there's regulations in TV of how to shoot with children.
Well,
there's none of those regulations.
That's why all these child stars are so messed up.
Yeah. Exactly.
Come here, guinea pig. Let's try this.
Yeah. So it's like you see child actors. Like think of all of the Disney stars that you know.
Yeah.
How did most of them end up?
We don't want to talk about it.
It's like
insert Demi Lovato.
Yeah. Oh no, rip Demi Lovato. Well, no, she's still alive.
Listen, actually, I really don't know. That wasn't my generation, so I like.
Oh, Demi Lovato ended up pretty bad.
Really bad. But I get that. But like, knowing her story, like it, like. I got respect for that. Like, like at least she owned her hot mess. Like,
Yeah.
like we're saying, like, as long as you can admit it and fess up, like, hey, I'm a hot mess, take it or leave it. Like, here it is, and here I am in my entirety. People will respect that.
Well, fair
and
enough.
I definitely do.
Yeah, people do.
I
Yeah,
mean, like,
absolutely.
you think of all the Disney stars, you think of, like, Miley Cyrus, who went on, like, a bender for, like, 5 years and then decided that nothing happened once she started dating what's-his-face?
Yeah.
The Captain America or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's, like, the only one that really, like, didn't go crazy was Selena Gomez. But
It's only a matter
there's
of
still time. Yeah, there's still time. So,
All right, so
but nonetheless,
so
child actor's not
in
the best
in,
thing.
in the wild west of what this show was, we got 2 minutes, and I'm grateful. I hope you guys enjoyed just this free form talk
just a rant.
of YouTube nothingness.
I mean, I want to bring this back to like what we talked about last episode. Is like you have a responsibility when you're on these platforms.
Thank you, Eric. Please redeem this show
Oh,
right now.
I will. And there's a responsibility that you have to hold and abide by. And there are guidelines on the YouTube platform that, you know, if we're talking about YouTube specifically, there's a guideline on every platform. You have to be aware of those things. And be aware that when you're putting all your content up on one platform, you are monopolizing them with your content. So if they ever decide to, you know, cut you off or go out of business or whatever it is that they want to do or sell to another company, which is possible nowadays, you have to understand that all your content that you have put out, so there's people out here who have 600, 700, 1,000 episodes of things that they've done and their entire life has been documented on YouTube. And if YouTube were to close down tomorrow, they would be out of a job.
They're a private corporation, and that's the sob story of capitalism. It's like I did the most profitable thing possible, and I didn't care. You made us a ton of money up until here, but now we have to make a business interest rather than whatever you have.
And
Sorry, buddy. See you later.
You have to accept that, and you have to understand that going into it. So I mean, the way to fight that is like build your own platform. Be your own YouTube. You know, it's not that expensive anymore to host your own website.
No. That's a really complex and deeper concept. Benjamin and I, we had dinner last night, and we were kind of talking about that. And like you know, like these small companies that end up getting swallowed by the big fish because they're like, oh, you're actually doing something good. Well, here's a check. I mean, I have almost unlimited funds. Here's $36 billion. Like, how do you feel about this check?
Yeah, it's
Oh, that's not enough. Yeah.
Yeah, here's
Like-
here's more money. Like that's really what it boils down to, and it's a dangerous situation because the big companies are getting bigger and they're buying all the small guys so that they can be the biggest player. Like I was telling Tyler, I heard somebody explain it in the nicest way possible. They said YouTube is a massive company with a lot of money, which is backed by a massive company with a lot of money, which is backed by a massive company with a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's like you're 3 levels in. YouTube's already worth an exuberant amount of money. They're owned by Google, who's owned by Alphabet. It's like there is no way that YouTube... Now, if Google decides they're going to shut down YouTube, is their own decision. But if YouTube's going to run out of money, is impossible.
Yeah.
So it's like that you have to understand that they're going to make the most money that they can for the longest amount of time.
That's corporations 101.
Absolutely. And going back to what we were saying yesterday, we just have to be aware of what we're watching.
Yeah.
There's no problem with watching YouTube videos. There's no problem with watching the Casey Neistats or the whoever you want to watch. The problem is that we get sucked into this like passive background noise. And it's like we have to make sure that we're being actively aware of how our opinions are changing, how our views are changing, and if we're okay with how those views are moving.
And make sure that we're cultured enough to be able to at least consider both sides of the coin. To formulate an educated opinion. One thing that this podcast really encourages is really common sense and using your brain and not just listening to one side of the story. Always at least get a dose of both to be able to make an inferred decision and say, okay, like I came to my reasoning and this is the truth, or this is what I'm going to cling to versus whatever it is. Like, oh, I just believe this person because they said it.
And just because somebody disagrees
Go.
with you doesn't mean that they hate you. And just because I disagree with you doesn't mean that I hate you either. If everybody learned that, I think the world would be a better place.
That's huge, and we would have we'd have far less temper tantrums.
Yeah. I mean, YouTube and these platforms are amazing resources, and you can get a lot of information out of them. I've learned a lot about everything that I do for my job through these platforms. So it just be aware of what you're watching. It could be amazing and it could be great for you, or it could be detrimental to your health.
Absolutely. It's a blessing and a curse. So you have to take it for what it's worth.
Absolutely. So on a final statement, this is not a political statement, but let's make the internet great again.
Oh God.
And that's it.
Thank you for listening to the Life Podcast Show. We really appreciate all your support. We meet every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning just to talk and share our perspectives on everyday life situations. If you haven't already, please share this with your friends and give them a chance to join the conversation. Also, if you liked what you heard today, rate our podcast. The higher the rating, the longer we can keep this going. And a special thanks to our future sponsors that will soon partner with us on this journey. If anyone would like to contact us, please email us at thelifepodcastshow@gmail.com. One word. That's thelifepodcastshow@gmail.com. Be blessed and have a wonderful day.